Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm looking at the comments here. Drop the link. I haven't even started the show yet, Snugs. You are so funny. You always talk about dropping the link and then you don't come up. Anyways, what's going on? Hey, Floyd. Yes, you were the first one here. Shout out to you. Because I'm digging the music, the multitasking, jam into it. Yeah, it's like I kind of wanted to go with like a chill hop vibe. Y'all know when you like studying or reading or whatever, that's kind of the vibe I want, because there's a lot of there's just a lot to be anxious about in this world. And so I always like to try to find moments and times to create a little bit of peace and chillness. So thank you for being here. What's going on, Eugene? What's going on? UFO. I always feel like I'm butchering your name. I don't want to. But what's going on? Great to see you. Guys, again, if you're on here, hit the like button, tag anybody on the show, share it. Y'all know the drill. Show support to the show, Cash App, Venmo, Shay, Sade. As always, I'll be sure to acknowledge all super chats. So today's topic is how Black women lose the good Black men. Now, by now, y'all know that Michael B. Jordan, he's been trending, I feel like, the last couple of days, just around this whole movie coming out, being released that he's doing with Jonathan Majors. And yeah, there's just a lot of conversation. I posted something on the community tab. I guess this was a photo. I don't even know where it came from. I found it from Six the Goddess's channel, and I couldn't find the original source, so I just tagged her. But it was literally just a picture of him, with Jonathan, and they were all just, you know what I mean. They were taking pictures, and that caused a lot of stir, right? You have some who were just like, "Hey, this is some brotherly love action over here. This is no big deal. Like, why are we making an issue out of this?" And then you had others who were just like, "Yo, they are definitely pushing like some bisexual gay agenda on these straight men. Like, what's going on?" And so, I mean, that caused this whole conversation, or just, I think that just caused this whole online beef conversation that is still going on today as to whether or not that photo of Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, was basically, whether or not that was kosher or not, right? Or whether or not that was a cool photo, or if they were trying to steadily but surely push the effeminization of Black men yet and still on these different actors. So that's going on. And then, lo and behold, this video or this little snippet went viral of him being interviewed by a woman who happened to be a previous classmate. And basically, make a long story short, what happened is, she is going up to interview to talk to him about a new movie that is being premiered in, and he's like, "Oh, I remember you're the one that called me the corny kid," and that kind of opened up this whole dialogue, really around. First of all, I mean, that whole setup was interesting, right? It's like that's the best sort of revenge is when you can now go look back at the people who said they didn't believe in you, and then you can really show that you had what it takes. So not only that, but I think that small dialogue, to me, it was so significant because it really speaks to the dynamic that exists in the Black community a lot of the times. So often when you hear the quote unquote good Black men, right? Whether they go grab their passports or whether they decide to date and marry out, a lot of times what we will hear is just shaming. This dude don't like Black women. He hates his mama. This dude is gay. This dude is lame. Like we'll hear all of the negative connotations. And in the case of Michael B. Jordan, it's, oh, this dude is corny. But oftentimes what isn't talked about is the other side. And I think there has to be a conversation about how Black women, I believe some of us, and very many of us, we have an appetite for toxic masculinity. We have an appetite for bad things. There's literally a word for it, hybristophilia, right? Where you are attracted to danger. And we have a culture that literally, that celebrates this very, I don't even want to call it hyper masculine, but a very like toxic masculine prototype. We have a culture that promotes that, and that kind of behavior is celebrated, and it's like only very particular kind of male is seen as desirable, especially in our formative years, especially in middle school and high school. And usually the good guys, right, the guys who don't fall within that particular prototype, maybe the star athlete, the dude with game, the kind of Pookie and Ray Ray prototype, however you want to call it, the guys who fall outside of that are oftentimes seen as lame. And these could be the guys who will go on to be maybe lawyers or engineers or educators to own their own business. In his case, he was artistic. He ended up being a successful actor. And so guys who don't fit into that very closed prototype of what a hyper masculine Black men are, usually they are ostracized. And unfortunately, again, when those guys, if they're ostracized, if they're picked on, if they are, the lame, whatever, if they sometimes go into other cultures, let's say they end up going into a college where they're now surrounded by women of different ethnicities, of different races, and a guy who loves math or a guy who is studying to be a lawyer, that is actually valued in that culture. He might have an easier time finding somebody to connect with. And I think these are the kinds of nuances that are oftentimes are not allowed when we have these conversations. It's usually always just, oh, this man hates his mama. Oh, we're, I don't know, these women are this. You know what I mean? But it's like there is nuance here, and also we have to really be honest with the fact that many of us, our picker is just off. Like many of us, I feel like our picker is just off. Like we don't know how to be, we don't like healthy. We don't like safe. We don't like stable. That's boring to us. Sometimes we grew up in toxic homes. Sometimes we grew up around moms or dads or lack thereof, and we were moving from place to place. So we're only attracted to the kind of men who can reinforce that kind of chaotic background. And again, when we are literally drawn to that drama, we're drawn to that excitement that the drama can bring. That can literally mean that we pass by the corny guy. And then when that corny guy goes and if he ends up with somebody maybe from just a different country altogether, or maybe somebody of a different ethnicity, now he hates his mama. Now he hates black women. But it's like, did you at least give him a chance to tell his story? And so that's what I want to unpack a little bit here today. But again, guys, if you're here, hit the like button. Also, real quick, I did see a Cash App come through earlier today. No, I think it was yesterday. I wanted to acknowledge. I do like to acknowledge all the support. Let me bring this up real quick, and then I'm going to get right into the snippets, because there are a couple of snippets that I want to acknowledge. Shout out to Maurice Salter with the 20. Thank you. I appreciate it. That came through yesterday with says loving your content. Thank you so much. Again, guys, if you like what's going on here, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I will be sure to acknowledge all super chats. And thank you again, Maurice Salter, for the 20 on the Cash App. Okay. So let me bring this up. There's a few different things I want to acknowledge. I mean, obviously it's really just a quick snippet, but I think there's a lot to unpack here. So let's get into it. And okay, let me pull this up. Okay. Shout out to Freedman's Journal. It says the young black men that have never dated black women do so because black girls were mean to them and generally disagreeable. That attitude is embedded in the culture. A lot to unpack here. And first of all, thank you for the support. And this is the side of the story that we don't usually hear. And it gets complicated because sometimes you'll literally hear this is sometimes the excuse that divestors can use, right? And they will say, oh, well, black men teased me, or black men this, or black men that. And so we've all heard that side from more the divestor adjacent. I've said plenty of times, I don't have an issue with somebody dating or marrying out if that's what happens. I just don't like the self-hating rhetoric. So it's like, if you're going to date out as a black woman, then don't go around talking about aborting black male babies and then use it as a reason to promote hatred. That's what I don't rock with. But we've all heard black women say, oh, black men don't like our hair, black men are texturists, black men are featurists. We've all heard that. I mean, there's been literally an entire infrastructure set up to allow women to basically voice their concerns against men for the last couple of decades. But we haven't heard the other side. We haven't really heard, hey, it wasn't that I just didn't like black women. It's just the black woman teased me a lot coming up. I was the corny kid. I wasn't really cool. And the first woman who really gave me the time of day that I was interested in also happened to be non-white. You don't really hear that side. So I do appreciate you sharing that. If I have enough time, I do want to open up the call lines, because I think it's important that we talk about this and try to bring balance to this whole conversation. Okay. I'm trying to bring this up. Okay. Let's start with this one. Oops. Okay.
No, I did not say that. Misquoted for sure. No, you did not hear me say. I said we used to make fun of the name, but yeah, he is obviously killing things out here. So, shall we got Michael B. Jordan, the director and the star of Creed 3. And, we know each other. We go way back all the way to Chad Science in Newark. Okay.
The Corny kid, right?
No, I did not say that. Misquoted for sure. No, you did not hear me say. I said we used to make fun of the name, but yeah, he is obviously killing things out here. So shall we got Michael
Okay,
B.
so y'all heard that. I mean, pretty straightforward. She's going on to interview him. She's like, "Hey, we go way back, trying to create common ground." And he's like, "Yeah, way back to when you were calling me the corny kid and bullying me." And she obviously is really uncomfortable by that confrontation, but nevertheless, that was his experience. And she tries to quickly pivot and focus on what he's doing then, his success then. But that interaction to me was so significant because um again, this speaks to so much to unpack there. There was, I think, another audio that came on. I'm going to try to play a little bit later on, where she basically alluded to the fact, this interview right here, she admitted, she's like, yeah, we actually teased him growing up. We made fun of his name. His name was, Michael Jordan, but he wasn't an athlete. So they were using it as a way to really make fun of him. And so she admitted to that as a young girl, now as an older woman, but she admitted to the fact that back when she was a kid in high school, they were constantly making fun of this corny, now multimillionaire, successful, sexiest man alive actor. They were making fun of him, her friends, and probably the other cool kids in the class. And you remember what I told you, where it's as if Black men who don't fit into this very particular prototype of what a masculine man is, especially in certain environments, like they're usually ostracized in the Black community. They are just generally usually ostracized. And the interesting thing about this dynamic was, notice he didn't forget. He didn't forget. Like, he was very classy on how I think he handled it. Like, he didn't rub it in her face. But he definitely reminded her, like, no, you called me the corny kid. He's like, I heard it. I didn't forget. And so those words, they stuck. You know what I mean? They hit a place. And all we can do is speculate. But just based upon that small interaction, I'm getting that, like, okay, yeah, not only was he constantly teased, that probably bothered him. That probably hurt him. Nobody wants to be the odd man out. Nobody wants to be the uncool, popular kid. That can be really hard. And especially him, now a successful man, he was pursuing his dreams early on as a kid. I mean, going back all the way into high school. And so although he had, I guess, enough fortitude, enough support, enough belief in himself in order to be able to pursue his careers early on as a kid, yet those words and that teasing and bullying, it still struck a nerve. You could tell based upon that interaction, because he was like, no, I didn't forget. You called me the corny kid. You were the one that called me you were the one that was bullying me. I didn't forget. And so I think more often than not, men have this experience. And there are countless actors that I think, Black actors in particular, that I can think of right now. Maybe they had white partners, or maybe not. Maybe they're single. But if you look at them now, it may be, my first thought is like, man, like even Jonathan Majors, I'm looking at him like, he'd be considered handsome now, but back in school, he wasn't getting play from Black women. He wasn't getting interest from Black women. He probably would have been too corny or too square, or a little bit too artistic. There's so many actors nowadays, even Denzel Washington. I mean, now he's older, but back in the day, he was the heartthrob. He even said back when he was coming of age, women weren't giving him the time of day. Idris Elba. Now he's a heartthrob. But you think when he was coming up, people were giving him the time of day? No, because it's not even just about looks. Even if you have good looks, even if you're an attractive Black guy, it's like you literally have to come sometimes with like a very particular kind of toxic masculinity. I have seen it. We've all seen it. We've all seen videos go viral of women talk about, oh, well, I'm attracted to killers, or, oh, I'm attracted to, he has to have X amount of bodies, or, oh, well, he's just a little bit lame. Y'all remember that video that went viral a couple of months back with, like, I think he was like the physicist, or like, I don't even know. It was like some crazy high up their career, handsome guy. And he's talking about the different educations he had. I think he had like 2 or 3 degrees. And he's, I think it was on B. Taylor's channel. And he's talking about what he's studying for. He's talking about, what he's wanted to do, his vision. And the Black woman's response was just like, oh, well, he seems kind of boring. That was the first response. Like, she seems boring. And what a lot of times what we don't want to talk about when we talk about, Black men marrying out, Black men going abroad and grabbing their passports, when we talk about this dynamic, we're all the good Black men, we don't also include the fact that many of us aren't even attracted to the good Black men. Not when we're young. We're just strictly not. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that many of us women are so unhealed. We're so either traumatized, so whether it's toxic or we saw toxic things coming up. Maybe we didn't have a dad or have a mom, or if we did have both of them, they didn't get along well. We maybe have codependent issues. We maybe were shut down, whatever it may be. It's like we don't have a healthy sense of self. And anybody will tell you water seeks its own level. Water seeks its own level. So if you grew up and all you knew was drama and all you knew was chaos, if a good stable guy comes into your life, or a good guy comes in who's going to be off, who's projecting stability, who has a sense of a vision, that's going to bore you. It's going to be unfamiliar. You're not going to be attracted to this. We see this all the time. And so that small little interaction there to me was so impactful, because we're seeing the classic scenario, the cool kid or the cool kids who are literally crabs in the bucket syndrome, right? Who they're tearing down a man with a dream. They're tearing down a Black man who doesn't fit into that very closed expression of masculinity. He was probably a little bit more creative. He wasn't an athlete. He was more creative, more artistic, more tapped in more into that expressive side. He's getting bullied. He's being called all kinds of names. He's being torn down. Now he's successful. But how many of us, when we're young girls and when we are women coming of age, we're not able to spot those good qualities. We're not able to spot good characteristics. We're not able to spot men who are going to be going somewhere. We're not able to spot men who do have good qualities. Why? Because we're super focused on this toxic masculinity of, future kind of persona, rapper kind of persona, athlete kind of persona. It's like, unless the Black men fit into that stereotype, unless they're like athletes or rappers or whatever when we're young, then they just simply don't give the time of day. I mean, you've even seen this in college. You've seen this in college where it's like girls in college are literally dating dudes on the street. Dudes who are, you know what I mean, running game on the street, and they're not interested in the other college guys. Why? Because they may be excited. They may have fast money. They may look a particular way. They may bring a particular sort of swag that a dude who's in the library studying at night may not have, because he's focused on trying to build his career. He's focused on trying to learn about math so he can be a surgeon one day. You know what I mean? Like that level of excitement, being a surgeon versus fast money, it's a whole different. But we never talk about that. We never talk about how we are so quick to demonize Black men who don't fit into these very small, until this very toxic masculine ideal of masculinity. We do that all the time. And then when they grow up and then now they're attracted to women, because maybe in their brain, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, Black women represent the ones who hated them. Black women represent the ones who said they couldn't do it. Black women, to them, quite frankly, there's trauma associated with that. So they might be drawn to other ethnicities as a result. They may be drawn to that. Or it may not even be like that. It may just be that the first woman who gives them the time of day and believes in their dream, who finds value in them maybe liking math, who finds value maybe in them, I don't know, liking science, who finds value in them being a creative soul. If she happens to be of another race, she's of another race. But all I'm trying to say is that I think instead of us going straight into the shame, insults, guilt, need to be right, the things that we normally do, it's important to start to try to add a little bit of nuance to these conversations, or at least try to look at things from the other perspective. Because if there's a space where Black women can say, oh, Black men don't like us, we're futurists, we're texturists, we're colorists, although really the scientific data shows otherwise. I broke this down in previous videos and I'll do otherwise. But literally the scientific data shows that Black men actually respond to their woman first when it comes to sexual dating partners. That's another side note. But anyways, we've heard that conversation from Black women for decades. So you mean to tell me that a community of people that arguably has struggled with self-hatred and still does to this day to a certain extent, you mean to tell me that men haven't experienced that too, that it's only women that have gotten teased particularly, or maybe have had bad experiences? Men haven't too? And so that's why I think these conversations they can be so one-sided, and they don't allow the humanity of like men also being human, and men also having experiences, men also having feelings. Like it's not just one side, people. Shout out to Louis Davis with the 10. I want to acknowledge a super chat that says American Black women as a collective have had this coming for a long time now. MBJ gave her a dose of her own medicine. And honestly, I think there was a lot of people I think a lot of people saw that and they kind of felt, although it was just him, like they felt a sense of vindication. Because they're like, maybe they saw himself in Michael B. Jordan, maybe not in that particular industry, but they were that kid that was looked over because maybe they were short, maybe they were overweight, maybe they stuttered, maybe they didn't have any game, maybe they just were considered nerdy because they had glasses, or they actually excelled at school, and that's not cool in certain settings, like whatever it may be. I think there are probably a lot of men who resonated with that. Or just like, finally, those people who said I couldn't do it, those people who said I wouldn't make it, the people that rejected me time and time again, finally they see that I made it and I made it without them. And there's a lot of people who probably have that sense of vindication. But to me, the issue is, why do we have to do that? Why does there have to be a culture where when a person dares to be different, or a person dares to go after their dreams, and they're breaking away from this toxic masculinity representation that is so often put in Black men, why do they have to be torn down? It's like the classic crabs in a barrel syndrome. It is so classic. It's like textbook at this point. Shout out to you, Fitty Fresh. It says it's very simple. If non-Black women are the first and most frequent dating options available to you, they become what you're used to and prefer, period. That's true too. No, there's something to be said about the fact that, like, now I don't think that was it in his scenario. He grew up in an all-Black environment, and him being a creative person in an all-Black all-Black school, already out the gate, we know that he was being teased. And then she confirmed it, because like I said, certain kinds of people, certain kinds of Black men are definitely like easy targets, him being one of them. And yeah, but I do understand, like, in environments, if you're like a Black person in a predominantly non-white environment, you dating a non-white person is not outside of the realm of reason, because that's what you're surrounded by. That makes sense. And now that he is successful and he has so much more options than he did back when he was, in high school, competition is fierce, right? And now he can have whatever his preference is, and it's not really limited to race. It says, I know L'Oreal, he dodged a bullet. I'm not familiar with her at all. That's the first time that I've heard of. I don't know if she has like a show or a podcast or something. I'm not really familiar with her. I want to make sure I got that. Yeah, okay. So that was the first clip. Now there's other one, because I want to say, I think there was another one that really broke down what she was alluding to about her experience with him in high school. Let me see if I can bring that up, and then we will get into it. Again, guys, if you're here, hit that like button. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. Okay, let's pull this up. Oh, wait, no. Actually, I'm going to do that one. No, let me do that one last, because I think that's the last one I want to do. Okay. So this one, it says, podcast audio from 2020 shows that L'Oreal did not call Michael B. Jordan. Oh, wait. She did not call Michael B. Jordan corny. Okay, well, we gonna see. These are some receipts, so we gonna see. He said with clarity, he's like, wait. He said with clarity that she called him corny, but we gonna see. Let's give it a run.
In the hood, we lived in Newark.
Yeah,
like that's the hood. You know what I mean? So we would make fun of him, like, what you gotta do with your little stupid headshots? Like, and now look at him.
He got that Panther money.
Well, yeah, I didn't exactly.
You know what I really think deep down inside? I think that Michael B. Jordan is just like a nice, corny guy. And I don't mean that as a slight, right? I mean, we all know that the nice, corny guys treat you the best.
You know, it's so crazy. I went to school with Michael B. Jordan at a point in life, and we went to Chad Science together in Newark. And to be honest with you, we teased him all the damn time because his name was Michael Jordan. Let's start there. And he was no Michael Jordan. And then he also would come to school with headshots. And back then, that was like in the hood. We lived in Newark.
Yeah.
Like that's the hood. You know what I mean? So we would make fun of him, like, what you gonna do with your little stupid headshots? Like, and now look at him.
And now look at him. He got that Black Panther money.
Well, yeah, I didn't exactly.
You know what I really think deep down inside? I think that Michael B. Jordan is just like a nice, corny guy. And I don't mean that as a slight, right? I mean, we all know that the nice, corny guys treat you the best.
You know,
y'all heard that? So she literally was basically like, he seems like the nice, corny guy. Now, you being a, multi-millionaire leading actor with international acclaim, I don't understand how that's corny. Like, help me understand how that's corny. I don't get it. But nevertheless, her breakdown is, oh, he seems like the nice, corny guy. Okay, whatever. And then she goes on to say, she's like, actually, you're right. Actually, we teased him because he just was a little bit too normal. I mean, that's the way I interpret it. He was a little bit too different. He chose not to fit in. He was doing his own thing. He was actually going for his dreams instead of, maybe slacking off at school, not turning in homework, cutting class, whatever. He was actually going after his dreams. And so we needed to, I'm like filling in. So we teased him. And she admitted that. And again, that goes back to what I'm saying. So many of us have this crab in the barrel mentality, right? Where, especially when we're young in our formative years, we are so quick to shame, berate, make fun of, and to just criticize people who are actually going after the dreams, people who one day will make an impact. And when those men who make an impact, when they leave the community that criticize them and decide to go date and marry into another community, it's like, can you blame them? I mean, in one end, look, I love Black love. I love Black families. I will always advocate for that. And that will always be my preference. But at the same time, like, there has to be a conversation about how so many people are. Not only do we grow up in a culture that still very much has anti-Black messaging, then you live in a Black community and you are traumatized. And so when you have anti-Blackness, which is very much a part of Black American psychology today, what I believe, and then you also have negative Black experiences consistently, and people who look like you telling you that you ain't going to amount to something, people looking like you telling you that you're not worth it, that you're not good enough, that you're corny, that you're gay, that you're this or this or that. When those men grow up, when they get to where they are successful, and now there are really no limit to the kind of women that they can date and marry, because now their finances have given them access to women of all different ethnicities. Can you judge them if they find themselves attracted to communities that don't represent trauma? Can you judge them? And I think that's the other side of the coin that we want to talk about. I know Michael B. Jordan he's gotten a lot of pushback, especially from Black women, for being a man who does not like Black women, for being a man who doesn't date Black women. We've all heard it. We've all seen it. And listen, I get it. Like I said, of course, I love seeing Black love, and I would love to see more successful Black men represented in the media, right? With other beautiful Black women. I would love to see it. But I think a part of this conversation, we have to start to, or I think we should start to at least address some of the different complaints that men, even successful men, have been talking about. Because if we just go into the whole shaming tactics, but we refuse to engage with some of the complaints, some of the different issues that we know as women that we have, if we refuse to address that, then it's like they don't owe us anything. You know what I mean? At that point, they're going to go where they feel accepted. And to me, it is actually a shame. If there are men who feel more accepted outside of their own cultural community, outside of their own race, if they feel more accepted outside of that than within it, what is that saying about what's going on? What is that saying about what messaging? What is that saying about how we are treating and valuing ourselves and treating and valuing others? Again, if somebody feels more at home outside of their own ethnicity, outside of their own race, outside of their own culture, if they feel more at home there, what is that saying about what is going on? What is that saying? And so this, to me, is why this film is so reflective. It's just, a short little, 20, 30 second interaction that speaks volumes It speaks volumes of the kind of dynamics that exist, not only in the Black community, but the kinds of dynamics that I think are not really, they're not talked about. They're rarely addressed. Shout out to you, Dario Sims, with the 10. And then Aaron Starks, it says, when a Black woman labels a Black man lame or corny, it's meant to demean. And if they don't want you, they want nobody else to either. Hence the anger at seeing Black men with other races. I think it's shame them. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's something about seeing a Black man with another race of woman that it enrages not just black women, it enrages this nation. I mean, the book I'm reading right now, I'm actually going to do a whole separate interview on it. I'm going to be bringing on the authors, but literally it's talking about this dynamic, right? How there's the fear that has always been associated with Black men essentially having freedom of sexual access and having the freedom to date and marry whoever. That fear has been so embedded in American society. Like, I mean, there are literally laws that were passed to keep that from happening. All the way up into the 2000s, there were certain states in the United States of America that literally just ended miscegenation as soon as like 2000, which is right, the ability to date and marry interracially. So case in point, Black men's dating preferences have always been policed more so than any other group of race or gender in America, Black men specifically. And so we see that today. But again, I think what's missing from this conversation is why there is a group of men who maybe feel compelled to date and marry out. I don't think we can just say that they hate their mama, or it's self-hatred, or it's this. That may exist in certain instances, because I do think self-hatred is something that some of us still struggle with, so that may exist, but I don't think that's it in every case. And again, an inability to really want to engage with some of the bigger issues that are negatively impacting Black women. Let's talk about, the amount of single motherhood rate, like how it's almost become like our badge of honor. Like, we constantly see single mothers. We constantly see single mothers being praised. What do we just have, the one with Kiki Palmer? No shade to her. She's a successful woman. She has a boyfriend. So, no shade to her. But what I'm saying is, we'll look to these celebrities who actually literally have the financial means to kind of live the single mother. Literally, if she wants to hire a nanny, if she wants to hire a dad, like, she could. They have the financial means to raise these kids by themselves. If they want to, if the man leaves, she has a financial means to do so. Your average Black woman can't do that. But we'll look to these examples. This example is continually being portrayed. This is okay. This is good. This is normal. And it's hurting us. We think about the single parent households, even our health. We're over here crying about every 15 seconds the Black man is deleting. It's like the time is always changing. Every 5 seconds the Black man is deleting. And it's like, if you actually look at the numbers, if you look at the CDC, if you go look at what's negatively impacting us, it's our eating. We are more likely to die from Twinkies than Tyrone. We are more likely to die from going through McDonald's and going through In-N-Out than we are from a boyfriend deleting us. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but so often it's easy to just shift the blame and just focus on what men aren't doing, how they hate their mama, how they're, the shameful, how they're this, they're corny, but we don't really want to be reflective and consider whether or not some of the complaints that have been raised are true. Attitude. We get so upset when we talk about attitude. We literally rage, and we love to boast about the fact that we are independent and we are strong. We don't meet a man, so we ain't gonna submit. We love to talk about that fact, but then we get mad and upset when men say we're hard to deal with. And when men say that they have a hard time working with us, we get upset with that. And it's like, again, this is what I'm saying. And I think another reason men will look at the situation, and although it's him, they'll look at these kinds of situations and feel vindicated is because it's like less and less men, I think, are taking what women have to say seriously. They're taking their complaints less seriously. A lot of them aren't even listening. And you know why? It's because we've shown that we're not able to really engage in these honest conversations. There doesn't seem to really be a large willingness to do so. And that's why, again, I think until there is that meeting, unless there becomes a point where the collective of women will say, okay, look, it's about time we got to sit down and actually start to listen to what these men are saying. Let's try to see if we can work something out. Let's see if we can try to address whatever. Like, unless there was an actual willingness, a real willingness, not the fake performative crap, I need a man because I can't pay bills. But no, a willingness to truly want to understand what's going on there. Why are they going abroad? Why are they just, some of them just not marrying? Why are they disconnecting? Unless there was a willingness to understand and then actually address our own behavior. And instead of every 15 seconds pointing out what men are doing wrong, being self-reflective and first trying to address where we are doing wrong or where we are falling short. Unless that activity actually changes and women start to hold themselves accountable, and women start to look at themselves in the mirror and say, look, God help me, I'm a mess. I need to change this. I need to change that. I need to get over my pride. I need to get over my self-centeredness. I need to get over my high-mindedness. I need to humble myself and I need to change. Unless that happens, then a lot of these men are going to be like, we're not listening to you. We're not listening to your complaints or to your shame because we don't trust you. Or because we don't trust you, because we can't value you. Don't value yourself. And these little moments in time are snapshots of the dynamic and the tension that exists in the Black community. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say, well, she's lied, or she's this, she's Puerto Rican, yada, yada, yada. But based upon the rum drop rule that still very much is in existence, by all accounts, she's still considered Black. I know she may pass in certain instances, but ain't nobody looking at her gonna mistake her for a Marianne. Okay. So by all accounts, this is reflective of the dynamic that happens in the Black community that is rarely addressed. That isn't talked about with nuance. And I think that's why so many men feel vindicated, because they're just like, yeah, I was that kid, or yeah, I was that high school, or yeah, I was that. And here I am today with options. Here I am today, maybe with a wife from another nation, or maybe with a wife of another ethnicity. And I'm just told that I hate myself, that I hate my mom. And actually, I love Black women, but the first woman who gave me time of day was a Japanese woman, or a Thai woman, or I don't know, a Salvadorian woman, like whatever it may be. Those conversations need to be heard too. That side needs to be heard too. We can't just hear that all Black men are colorists and featurists and texturists, when one, the stats actually don't even say that, right? And then two, we're doing the same thing. We're also judging men based upon their appearance, based upon their hair sometimes, their features. Y'all remember Jonathan Majors just a few weeks back? He got roasted saying that he had a civil rights face or the face of a slave. Black women are doing that too. You know what I mean? So we have to hear both sides, or else it's not a real conversation. It's just echo chambers. Real quick, I do want to acknowledge Super Chat that says L'Oreal could have corrected the record and apologized during the podcast calling MBG corny, but she didn't and refused to apologize at the end of it too. Yes, that you make a great point. Another reason a lot of men, I think, are just turning their ears off to the complaints of some of these women, turning their ears off to what your average modern woman says when she's trying to complain or trying to bicker, because when they're called on their own stuff, right? Or when they themselves are shown to be hypocrites, instead of being like, dang, I messed this up, you're right. Or you know what, let me humble myself. You're right. I was immature. I had my own issues going on, whatever. Instead of just owning it, they deny it. They will deny it tooth and nail. I have seen it. I've experienced personally. And we've all seen it. Some of us maybe have even been there. But that goes back to, again, why a lot of men are taking this stuff seriously, because it's like, not only are you not willing to, in some instances, want to be self-reflective, when you are clearly called out on behavior that you know you did. You just can't own it. You just can't say, you're right, I'm sorry. You're right. I was wrong. I'm human. I messed up. I was scared of being picked on too, and so I just went with the crowd. Like instead of owning it, then we deflect, and that says so much. That says so much. I think you make a really great point there. Okay, let's see. There's another. I wanted to make sure I got. Says beautiful, feminine, and spin facts. I love to see it. Keep spreading the truth. Thank you, Devoted 7 Gaming. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, it says David Velour with the 5. It says, despite the fear Black women have, they still will reject us even when we are decent men. So we will go elsewhere. Time has ran out. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it. A lot of men are feeling this way. A lot of men are feeling this way. And my part again is, instead of us being so quick to just say, oh, well, all these men are gay. These men are so gay that they're going abroad and marrying other women. Or they are just literally marrying other women and having children. But you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Instead of just saying, oh, these dudes are gay. These dudes are corny. These dudes are lame. How about we actually listen to them for a change? How about we actually just consider whether or not there is validity to what they're saying and their experience is valid? That's all I'm saying. And if we find in doing so, and if in our self-reflection, we recognize that we were a part of the problem, then change or attempt to change. Apologize when you can, or at least address your behavior. But if we don't do that, then these guys are going to grab their passports. They're going to date and marry out. Black women may be upset. And to be clear, Black women, I think, who are in happy, successful relationships don't really care what another random man does behind closed doors. They don't really care. They're like, okay, he wants to marry a white woman, whatever. I already have my man. I already have my, like, whatever. I think it really hurts women who, my opinion, it really hurts women who are already not really satisfied in their own personal lives, especially with their dating and their dating outcomes or their relationship outcomes. Like if they've been married for a long time and they don't want to be, or they've gone from bad relationship to bad relationship, the kinds of guys that they want seems like they don't want them. That's when seeing that really, 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 really makes them mad. But women who have already found their love of their life, they're happily married, whatever. Like, I don't think it really burns them as much. I'm not just saying it doesn't, maybe to a certain extent, but I don't think it really lands, because it's just like, okay, who cares? If he's happy, he's happy. I'm happy. So because I'm happy, if he's happy, more power to him. But like his happiness or lack of happiness doesn't impact my state of being. But if it does impact your state of being, again, I think it's because some of us feel some kind of way about this. Some of us maybe feel like we've been rejected. The guy that we liked didn't like us back. A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. But like I said, we're not really always telling the full story. Okay, I want to make sure. Yeah, okay. I think I wanted to make sure I got all of the super chats. Okay, so there's one more clip I want to play, and then I think I'll have a few minutes to open up the call lines, because I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your experience, because as I mentioned, a lot of the time these conversations can kind of just go on one end. You may just hear a Black woman be like, oh, he hates his mama, you know, he's this, and that. And listen, I get it. Like, I want to see more Black people love on Black folks. I get it. I hear you. So I hear that. But also a part of that is also starting to address why that isn't happening. If you think that's the issue, then let's just try to figure out why, versus just like, oh, he hates his mama. Like that's an easy shaming tactic. He hates his mama. Like, really? So every single man that dated or married out or isn't married currently, or grabbed their passports, hates their mama, or they're all gay. Like at a certain point, it's like, okay, we have to start to expand our insults, because we're just getting really old. No, but more importantly, we have to expand our understanding and be like, y'all, like the insults are old. The shame, insults, guilt need to be right is not really working. It's just not working. Let me see. Okay, so this is one. I don't even think this is audio. I just think these are some more receipts. And I want to give you, this is classic, right? Classic. Um, I think it's a classic representation of what we can do sometimes. Black women can do when we mad at a dude who isn't maybe not doing what we want him to do. Okay, so it says this black. Let's read the caption here to get some context. So this is the shade room. It says, "Ooh, Dominique the Diva." I have no idea who she is, y'all. Maybe I'm late. It says, "Is standing 10 toes down in her previous comments about Michael B. Jordan. Roomies, do you agree with her?" Okay, so I think she's just saying something about his dating preferences. So she wasn't surprised that he would go to such great lengths because she always got the impression when in his presence that Jordan is a nice, corny guy. And I don't mean that as a slight. She said, "We all know the nice, corny guy treat you the best." Oh, so she's the one that said that. Yeah. That's when L'Oreal, who went to school with him at a 712 grade academy in Newark back in the day, said in regards to the corny comment that he definitely gave that vibe in his classmates. At the time, he was trying to get his career off the ground as a young model and actor. She admitted they were always making him the butt of the joke. Yeah, they mad at Ariel when it was me who called him corny. Okay, so they're just giving like an explanation of what was going on. I think L'Oreal or Dominique Diva says, "Any black man that dates a white woman is corny to me. I guess that PR relationship with Lori helped y'all forget, but I didn't." And so basically, y'all, the audio that we played before again was L'Oreal, the one who was interviewing him. I guess she did an interview with the Dominique the Diva or whatever her name is. They did an interview a while back. And that's when Dominique the Diva was just like, "Dude seemed kind of corny to me. He's probably sweet, but he seemed corny." And then L'Oreal was like, "Literally, we teased him in school." And then that is the context. Now, even with all of that, all came out him being teased, yada yada yada. She still stands by the fact that, look, he's just corny and he ain't never liked black women, and that's it. That's it. And to be clear, that is a Dominique the Diva. She pretty much, I think, reflects a pretty commonly stated belief of the Black American female population that, as attractive as this dude is, he's corny because he's a colorist and he definitely don't like black women. I think most people who have followed him would believe that. And a lot of us are, let's just be cool, like real. A lot of us already weren't even fully buying into the whole Lori Harvey thing. Like some of us, I think I seen it and I was like, oh, I hope it works out. But there is definitely a lot of suspicion. Some people thinking it was just a PR relationship. And lo and behold, here we are again. PR relationships. And we don't know where he's at. But at the end of the day, yeah, this is what I said before. A lot of women just think dude is corny. And if he's not corny, he's gay, based upon the recent photo that he did with Jonathan Majors. And more importantly, he don't like black women. So that really makes him corny. And really all I'm trying to say is I think there's opportunity for us to start to listen to what these men have to say. We literally saw a video of him confront women who bullied him. And if the genders were swapped, and let's say that was I don't know, let's say that was like a Serena Williams or something, I don't know. Let's say she was interviewed by somebody, and then they come to find out it was a black man interviewing her, and then come to find out that black man had teased her when she was in school. And now she's with a white man. I don't think anybody would go. I don't think no black man would be like, oh, this woman is corny. She gay. She this, and that. I stand by what I say. They'd be like, man, this man bullied her. This man talked down about her. A lot of women they'd have compassion. Their heart would go out to her. We'd have call-in shows, and then we'd all talk about our experiences with the time that the black boy in kindergarten pulled our pigtails and pulled out our barrettes and made fun of our braids, and we'd be crying and we'd be doing all kind of stuff. We would look at that situation and we would be able to resonate with it because maybe some of us would have had it. But because the genders are reversed, and it was a black man who was bullied and teased and made fun of, then his experience doesn't matter. whatever he's doing right now, whatever he's doing today, is strictly because he's corny, he's gay, and he don't like his mama. And all I'm saying is, instead of us being so quick to judge, and instead of us being so quick to, to pass judgment on a man, why don't we at least try to listen to the other side? Because if the genders are reversed, we would. If the genders are reversed, we would give allowance. We don't look at Black women who date and marry out and just assume that they're gay or corny. If anything, we celebrate them. We make podcasts about them. We look at their marriage photos. We look at their babies with mixed hair and light skin and light eyes and hope that we can have kids like that. That's actually what we do. But if the roles are reversed and the Black man does it, then now he has to be ostracized. And no matter what comes out about his past, no matter whether or not we found out Black women were teasing him and berating him, and Black women and men, whatever it may be, we're making fun of him, it doesn't matter. He is corny or gay because right now he doesn't have a Black woman on his side. And all I'm saying is that it's highly hypocritical, and that doesn't get to the root issue. And if that as that continues, then you have more and more men who feel ostracized. And I'm talking good Black men, the good Black men, the ones who would build the community, the ones who would build, think about building infrastructure and businesses and creating things and creating resources that would positively impact the Black community, Black women, future Black kids, Black generations. Those men who have the resources and have the skills to do that. If you ostracize them, if you tear them down, if you don't create a space for them, if their experiences don't matter, how can you expect them now when they come of age to go back and try to build up the very community that rejected them? All I'm saying is that's how many of these men are feeling. And that's why when people saw that in that situation, I think there was a lot of men who resonated with it. A lot of men. Okay, I think I saw a few more come through I want to acknowledge. Shout out to you, D Mac. Good show. Thank you with the 10 on the Cash App or Super Chat. Kevin C. It says, according to this Black woman's logic, Black men dating white women is corny. So are Serena Williams, Tika Sumpter, Aisha Tyler, etc. Are they corny too? Exactly my point. Corny only applies when there's Black men doing it to Black, or when there's Black women doing it, period. That's the only time it applies. But as I mentioned before, if the interviewer had been, let's say, an Aisha Tyler or Serena Williams, if it had been them, and we had found out that the interviewer had teased those women when he was a kid, when he was in high school or middle school, there would have been at least a week's worth of content. Madame Noir for Harriet, maybe The Root. We would have seen all the Black femininity channels covering it and then talked about, see, this is the proof that these Black men are colorist, futurist, texturist, divest. That's essentially would have been the response. We all know it. But because the roles are reversed, because the genders are reversed, nobody really cares. He's just corny and he needs to get a Black woman, or else he's corny and gay, or else he's corny and hates his mama, whatever it is we use. And all I'm saying, I don't think that's not really fair, because those men have a story too. And all I'm saying is I think it's they deserve to tell it without receiving the shaming mechanisms that we throw on them. Because women can do it and not be shamed. So then why can't men do it and have at least have the same dignity of their experience? I'm not even saying it's right. Like I said, there are definitely people I believe in the Black community who date and marry out, maybe because they have some self-hating ideas, maybe because they're traumatized, whatever. I'm not saying that it's always maybe necessarily the decisions that are being made. But what I'm saying is that people at least have a space to share their experience and not be judged for it, and recognize that, hey, if they were teased, if they were bullied, that hurts. Maybe that is going to actually impact how they see the world, how they see women who look like them, especially if it was women who was bullying them, right? Because for women, it's the same way. Yeah, if men bullied you who look like you, whatever, that may impact the way you see the world. The Black community can be harsh. Okay, many of us have had our traumatizing experiences. Okay, we've all had it. All I'm saying is that there needs to be a space to where men's experiences are validated too. Because if we don't, they're going to go to somebody who will validate it. And if it's a woman of another race, of another country, then it is what it is. And at a certain point, we have to take that L and be a little self-reflective. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I think it says social awkwardness and being corny as a man in the so-called Black community just means that you don't adhere to negative stereotypes. Get your passport. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, toxic masculinity. Also toxic femininity. I mean, look, you have girls too who can get teased for not fitting into certain roles, not dancing a certain way, not doing, like, you're right. I mean, far too often the toxic elements of our culture are glorified. Like that Prison Bay photo that I shared in my community tab. I'm like, can we not glorify this? Can we not make this look like this is a photo shoot? Being in prison that's not a photo shoot, not a photo op. Like, we should be talking about how to get these ladies out. So love the show. She called him stupid, not corny. So she went further than her friend by saying stupid. Yeah, it's like sometimes when we try to justify, we sound even worse. You ain't lying about that. Okay, guys. So I want to hear from you. I have a few minutes, and I do want to hear what you guys think about the situation, or whether or not, I mean, was this your experience? Were you that guy who was teased in middle school and high school and called corny and whatever, you hate your mama, gay, whatever, lame? Was that you? And you can resonate with maybe how he feels, or resonate with why maybe you aren't as attracted to American Black women, or feel a little traumatized each time you try to interact. Like, I'm just here today. So like, I just want to hear your guys' perspective. This is not about a right or wrong, who's right or wrong. I just think it's important to create space for people to have the dignity of their expression, their experience, and just let it be what it is. So I'm going to have a few minutes if anyone wants to call in and share. Let's see. Okay, so we dropped the things there. Let's see. Okay, guys, yeah. So if you guys want to call in, let me know. Looks like I got somebody in the background. Okay. All right. How's it going, David?
Hello. How you guys doing? Or how are you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. Okay. Well, this is quite an experience. I can tell you that.
One more time, you said it's your experience?
Yeah, I said this has been quite an experience.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually came across, I was at a very low point about a year ago, and I came across Kevin Samuels when I was doing my own, I was really thinking it through, because I've had this same issue since high school. It's never changed. So 90% of the women that I have ever had a good experience with are from other countries. I'll either find out that one of their parents are from another country, or that, they were from another country, and it's usually Africa or the Caribbean, and occasionally from Latin America.
Okay.
But here's the point. The whole you're lame, corny, and all that. I think what has happened is that the idea of being interesting, the idea of being, desirable, has been so distorted over the past, I'd say, generation and a half, that Black men, like when I was in college, it was a friend of mine. He went to become a doctor, and we were sitting, and this was at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and so we were seniors at that point, and his name's Will, and hopefully he'll see this, because we were watching these guys that were sitting down, down the way in the cafeteria, just acting like they were trying to be like their thugs or whatever. But we're at U of M, we're at a really good school, and so me and Will looked at each other, and I can't remember which one of us said it, but we were like, why can't a Black man just be a Black man? Why is there always this other stuff that has to get put in front of it? And unfortunately, a lot of Black American women cannot let a Black man be a Black man. You look at someone like P. Diddy or whatever, or Puffy or whatever he calls himself. He looks like a nerd. He looks like a nerd. He looks like he would have been teased in high school too. And all of that trauma has to be dealt with as you flow through life. Like it's not like Michael B. Jordan, like all of a sudden that day had to deal with it because she came up to him. It's that L'Oreal didn't realize that what she did had an effect over time. And it's just too much. It's not even about Black Americans. It's about American society. American society is all about the extreme. It's extreme, extreme, extreme. Everything has to be hyped. Everything has to be oversold. Everything has to be just overly aggressive. White American culture too. They're struggling with it. And so that's not natural. So you got women that are being masculine and they're looking for men that are hyper masculine, like, over the top. And so that whole thug mentality, it's kind of a result of that. I'll stop here because I got a lot more to say, but I mean,
yeah, it looks like I got quite a few in the back, so I'm gonna try to keep this orderly. Okay, Eugene, I think you were next.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So what do you have on this topic?
I was thinking back to my high school years where, I was pretty smart with a couple of subjects, especially mathematics. And, it's like this. I was only one of 2 Black students in my Algebra 2 class. I was the top of it, and yet I keep getting this weird look from the other Black student, for some reason. I get the nerd or corny vibe from them and stuff like that. But here's a big issue. If you are Black, corny and nerdy, sometimes they'll look at you as trying to be woke.
Oh, bullseye.
Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've gotten that.
Yeah. Now, of course, the girls, they were not, interested, but, I try not to let it bother me. Yeah, it's been like this all through high school and college, but of course, after that, things started to change. But yeah, it's real. It's all real. When you're in that situation, you have a choice. You can either try to fit in or be yourself, which of course I chose the latter because I hated the surroundings. I can remember a lot of people all around me. They were in the gangs and they were doing drugs and stuff, and I wasn't having any of that. So I did not believe. So I was like basically this nerd where I had to basically where he did not care about what was going on around him. All he cared about, trying to reach my goals. Sort of like what Michael B. Jordan was doing.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. Now I got no, that makes sense. Okay, guys. So looks like I have quite a few in the back. So
Could
Kevin
I
C,
jump in, please?
yeah. Well, let me let Kevin C go, and then I don't know who said that.
If
Coach D.
if somebody's at work or something and they want to say something, that's fine. They can go ahead and go. I don't know if people
Yeah.
have short
And
time.
let's try to keep this efficient because there's a couple in the background that are trying to come up, but the panel's full. So
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say what I'm going to say, then I'll just go ahead and pop off.
okay.
So
Yeah.
So look, I really haven't had the issue myself, but what I have had, what I've seen and I've experienced is men who kind of tell me their experiences about how they were rejected and all the other stuff, and eventually over time they ended up with somebody who was non-Black. What I hate to hear is when men go outside, Black men go outside the race, is that it's some kind of self-hate issue, or or just he's some colorist and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
When really, when you talk to the men, it's like, oh well, those. I was actually dating a woman, Black woman, whose brother married a white woman. All right, and she was telling me when her brother was coming up, he wasn't into like the normal so-called Black activities. He was riding BMX bikes and skateboards and listening to rock music and all the other stuff. And he went out of his way to go after young black girls and all the way through college, and they all just said no to him. So that was kind of his experience. And when I talked to the men about it, they almost all generally have the same experience. I've only ran into one black guy who outright said to me he would never date a black woman. I didn't ask him why, but when it came up, he was very adamant and hardcore about it. And it seemed like there was some kind of trauma associated with it. So I didn't want to get into it. I just moved on to the next subject. Because, men, we don't really talk about stuff like that unless I knew him that well, and I didn't. But when I mentioned, oh, your wife is white, he's like, yeah, I'll never date a black woman. I was like, oh, okay. All right. And I left it alone. But stuff like that. But what I'm seeing, and I guess the issue I have with it is this double standard where black men just have this major requirement to, date a black woman. And there's got to be a whole bunch of requirements associated with that. And then when he goes out, there's never any explanation as to why he's outside of the race versus, why did you, remember, black women have shared culture, history, experience, and everything else. So it would make sense that you would get to that dude early. And especially before he blows up and becomes a Michael B. Jordan or a Childish Gambino or a Michael Coulter or any other, black man who ends up going outside of the race, so we got to somehow get away from that. Women aren't going to stop doing it. It's very interesting that I hear women will say stuff like, I don't mind black women doing it, but when I see a black man with a non-black woman, then they get upset about that. Like,
excuse me, brother.
So everything that Michael B. Jordan is going through, he literally remembers that incident going all the way back to his high school days, all the way up until now. And that woman had a chance to apologize and fix it. Even when she was at the interview, she didn't fix it. Even when she was at the podcast, she didn't fix it. And they're just doing everything wrong. And then they're still putting the responsibility on the men to just go ahead and look past it. And black men are saying, no, we're not going to look past it.
Right.
So, that's just how it's playing out. But at any rate, I just want to come up and say that and just kind of mention it to that effect.
Hey, brother, hence the exodus of black men from the United States. That what you just touched on is exactly why black men are going beyond just dating outside their ethnicity. They're saying, you know what, the problem lies here in this land. It's time to roll. And unfortunately, Ms. Sade, I applaud your work, but your work is a little too much too late to stem this. This has been happening for 50 plus years. I think I've said this to you once before. It is going to take twice as long to undo the damage that has happened because it is generation after generation. My illustration is this. The brothers that are found as corny and so forth fall into these three categories, which I fell into. One, the category of Steve Urkel. He is intelligent, but he's socially awkward. Two, the Wayman Tinsdale. After that same Steve Urkel grows up, becomes a man, and finds himself in a position of power and influence after all of his hard work is done. And like you said earlier on your show, those same men are expected to turn around and come back to the black community and stick their hand out and help the next man. But because of the trauma we felt, us being extracized by our own community, by our own people, because we spoke proper English, because we demonstrated intelligence as white acting, and the mindset becomes, why should we? Hence what I said earlier. The same black man, the same corny black man that you ghost and make fun of today will be the very same black man that you might have to stand in front of tomorrow to interview for a job or to interview for that position that you wanted. And you're thinking, hey, this is a black man, this is a brother in here, he can help me out. And he's looking at you like, you came from here. Oh, I remember people like you. Why should I help you? I saw this exact same thing in the military. The third one is the Last Dragon character, Leroy, because he grew up differently. And I'll use Kobe Bryant as a perfect example. Kobe Bryant was an army brat. Now, everybody made fun of him, but then suddenly when he became an NBA star, people couldn't get enough of him until they found out his wife was non-black. And after that man passed, there was nothing but days upon days of smoke. And as far as I'm concerned, black women as a collective in this country, you've done this to yourselves. The black men that you've mentioned that are leaving, that have these resources and that are taking off, sisters, you have no one to blame but yourselves. The other side of this coin is the fact that there are good black women here in America. I'd be a fool to say that there aren't. However, They're standing right next to the hyenas, and that makes us very difficult. To us, it's like this. Oh dang, a pack of lions. Am I going to take the risk to find out which lion is tame enough for me to roll up to it without getting torn to shreds? No, I just see a pack of lions. I'm going someplace else. I ain't finna get ripped up. That is what is happening with a lot of these brothers that are having same or shared experiences. Um, the other side of it, those brothers that got into the dope game, they started off as that lame and corny fella, but because the gals wouldn't give them the time of day in high school, they got into the dope game because they saw their peers having that wad of cash, having that nice ride, and gals couldn't get enough of them. You know, I can go on and on about this, but I think everyone gets the picture.
Right. No, I hear you. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand that there are certain men who are just done. And, you know,
More than you think, Shay.
yeah, and I take the opinion that a man has the right to do whatever they want to do. I'm not here to try to convince anybody otherwise. You know, I'm here doing my thing. Obviously, I'm married, so it's not like I don't really have uh I'm doing this more for younger generations or for those who are like-minded. But I'm like, if you are just like, it's too late, I'm gonna go abroad. I'm like, have at it, have fun. I think ultimately people should do whatever makes them happiest. I'm not here to shame anybody. So I
I
do.
wish you would talk with your sisters and put a cap on that because it has to stop. They have to live with the fact that either they themselves directly, someone in their family, or the women next to them have been the cause of their pool drying up.
Yeah, so coach,
But let me
women actually know what's happening, and they're doing what it is they're doing. And the
yeah.
only thing I would say is women 25 and under, they're probably they're probably workable. But if you're like 30 and above, you're probably kind of out of the game. But hey,
There's a few
thanks for
that are
letting me ask.
25 and under that are out of it too.
Well, let me.
Well, I mean,
I do want to give. I have a few other.
yeah, but I'll go ahead and drop down, Shay. Thanks for letting me. I appreciate
Okay,
you.
thank you, Kevin. I think it was Bobby Wright. I think you were next.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for having me on. How's everybody doing? Just had just a few things, just kind of respond. I guess you guys kind of said a little bit what I was gonna say, but just as you guys were saying before about Serena and women like that. I forget the actress name who played in Queen and Slim, but I believe she's either married to or dating a white man. She's like a black British woman, and she had said a few years but back around the time that movie came out that the first time she was ever called pretty was by a white guy, right? And these are her words, but I remember not I didn't see any black women say that she hated her blackness or that she hated her father or any of these kinds of
Right.
things. It was, oh, I'm glad that you found love. And like, I don't have anything against the woman. Like I don't know that much about it. I don't care. I'm just using her as an example. I didn't see any pushback or backlash from black women within the community when she said this. Meanwhile, you have brothers like Michael B. Jordan, for example, who, to my knowledge, has never said anything negative towards black women. But if he's even just in a photo with white women, he gets chastised by black women. Even if he's not dating these white women, if he's just on a yacht party with his friends and they invite like some white girls and they're in the background and he's in the photo, countless times, he'll get, thrown all these negative slurs from black women. Like this goes beyond just, a high school thing. So I've heard this from black women that, oh, these black guys got to get over, a few black girls that might tease them in junior high or high school. No, this is a reflection on the culture. Even from an adult perspective, a lot of times black men get, or people try to put black men into a certain box that a lot of times perpetuate certain stereotypes, some of which we, have created on our own, some of which come from, black racism and things like this. And if you don't get put into that box, you automatically get looked at, in a certain way, whether it be, getting put into a homosexual innuendo. They tried to do that with the late Kevin Samuels because he didn't, portray himself in a stereotypical way as an older black man. Or they try to do this now with Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan, which the one photo with Jonathan Majors, I'm kind of like, okay, bro, you had to do that with the girly shawl and all that crap. But besides all of that, if you don't fit into a certain box, you automatically get shunned from the culture to a certain degree. So when these guys grow up and have children with a white woman like a Jonathan Majors or dates white women like Michael B. Jordan, it's almost like a how dare you response from black women in the community, as if these guys old black women something. Now that they've, you know, built themselves up to this higher level, it's like, oh, now come back and pick one of us to start a family with, even though culturally we have basically told you for many years that we don't like your type of blackness. So of course these guys are going to remember this when they get older, as we saw with the interview with Michael B. Jordan, where he's like, oh yeah, so I was a corny kid though. This goes beyond just that moment in time. It's a reflection on the culture as a whole. Like a lot of brothers, including myself, majority of the black women that I've dated throughout my life, at least the more successful ones, have been black women from Africa. And a lot of times when I would first meet these women, I wouldn't even know that, you know, they were necessarily straight from Africa or whatever till I got to know them, or sometimes their last names would uh you know, kind of give it away or whatever like that. But I think a lot of times this comes from our culture in particular, as far as Black Americans, that we don't get looked at as men first. It's like, oh, you're a black man, so you can only be like this, versus our women seeing
Oh,
us
it's a
as
show I'm
men
listening to.
and you know, following us accordingly. This is just like what one of the brothers said. This is why so many more men, black men in particular, are leaving and going overseas, because overseas women are taught to look at men as men first, versus the women telling us how we're supposed to be.
Hey, if you're not
You know,
speaking, please mute. Sorry, I'm sorry, Bobby. If you're not speaking, please mute. I'm not sure that who that was, but I'm getting a lot of feedback. So yeah, just thank you.
My mistake. It was
yeah.
me.
Oh, all good.
But yeah, just to wrap up my point, one of my homeboys that I've known since junior high school, a black guy. We grew up in a predominantly white high school, but he lived on in a different area that was a little bit more, had a little bit more black presence than where I grew up. And I remember a lot of times when we would go to school, he would try to overly act like the, you know, stereotypical, I guess, quote unquote, thug type of black guy. But I knew him so much personally that I knew he wasn't like that. And I remember one day I see him at a gas station, like this was like years ago when we were like in our mid 20s or whatever. And I asked him about it. I was just like, hey man, I don't know if you even remember back when we were kids, but you know, I asked him like, why did you act that way? And he knew what I was like. I didn't have to explain. He knew what I meant when I said that way, and he kind of laughed. And he's like, to be honest, I just didn't know any better. I thought that was how black men were supposed to act. But I was like, how come you never act that way around me or other black guys who didn't fit that stereotype? And he's like, oh well, because I knew that you guys would understand. You know what I'm saying? It took him till he got older to kind of realize that, oh, there's nothing wrong with not being the, you know, overly masculine uh you know, black guys, you know, stereotype or whatever like that. And this man has gone on to marry and have children with a black woman, so he never used that to spite black women. That's, like I said, this goes deeper than just black women in high school saying certain things. It's a reflection on the culture as a whole. Like we kind of have to get out of this box that society or whatever has, I think, put black men in. And this happens with black girls too. That's why you see black black women complain about the IG models today getting certain attention that maybe the more reserved or nerdy black girl didn't ever get too. So this happens with them too. My thing is though, if they can understand it on that side, they gotta understand this also happens with black men as well. Excuse me, as well. That's why the whole Michael B. Jordan interview went viral. But yeah, that's my last thought.
Right. No, I appreciate you sharing, Mr. Bobby Wright. I'm trying to think who was next. I don't remember if it was it Better You? I don't remember.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
no. Am I after Better You, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
Okay.
Better You, and yeah, and then I think it was Kai. Guys, bear with me if I'm messing up the order here. I don't think my thing adds an order. And then if we could try to keep this within a 60 seconds or so. I just realized I actually have a live I have to hop on within a few minutes. So yeah, if we could try to keep this short and sweet, I would appreciate it so I could get through everybody. I do have a live coming up soon. So
Where is that live going to be? Shay, I'd like to see it.
it's going to be on, let me see if I can get it. It's going to be in a page out in the Philippines, believe it or not. Maybe I'll share it. While somebody's talking, I'll share it if you guys want to. Or maybe I'll share it on my my community tab. So if you guys want to go through, you can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
I want to say kind of got touched on a little bit. I feel like for a lot of black men, what we experienced was a concept that's been called Flat Blackness, and a bastardized version
Yeah.
of manhood, or where a man has been distilled down to simply two things: his physical body and prowess, and his income. And a man is so much more than that. A man is discipline, a man is leadership, a man is guidance. And e- even with a lot of those experiences that some of the brothers, and even like Michael B. Jordan, I was very artistic coming up. I love to draw, love to paint, love those things. Um, because of this narrow box that we have, anybody that kind of goes outside of it, you are the weirdo, you are the other, so to speak. And I feel that that's something that definitely hurts our young boys and men, and causes a lot of people to feel that rejection. But also it hurts the women as well, because you know, people might think it's crazy or whatnot, but Michael B. Jordan's a quality guy. Jonathan Majors is a quality guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even with the photo shoot, I know somebody mentioned it, like the pink bow or whatnot, like that.
Yeah.
That wasn't just him being flamboyant or anything. Like, that's actually inspired by a comic book called One Piece, and that's the Don of the underworld, Don Quixote do Flamengo. So it was, in terms of masculinity, think the most traditional masculine guy, but dressed like Elton John with slippers. So it's one of those things where it's very outside of the box. And I get what he's going for, because I know the source material, but because we have these notions and our community enforces a lot of these notions, there's a lot of flexibility for us to express ourselves. And that's pretty much it for me.
So I don't know, maybe this will be another live, because what I've been thinking about as I've been listening to the different feedback regarding that photo was, I understand that Black men usually, I think, are positioned in these really small ideals of masculinity, right? It's like they can't, like, there's not variance allowed. But with that said, I truly do think that there is an agenda to try to feminize, or to try to continuously promote Black men in positions where they are seen as effeminate, because a masculine Black man, especially a masculine Black man who has a Black woman or a Black family, is a legitimate threat, a direct threat to, the current things at play. So when I think about these different expressions of masculinity and, Black men in the soft life, and Black men being able to touch and tap into their feminine side and things of that nature, I wonder, in an environment that has always been very volatile, that has always been very that has been unsafe for Black men, whether or not those kinds of soft life masculinities are really beneficial, or if that's a way of trying to neutralize Black men as a collective, when there are still forces that are against them. I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about. I wanted to add in that that might be a whole another conversation, because I thought that whole picture of masculinity and its expression that was coming up with Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors was really interesting. So,
Most definitely.
yeah, okay. I don't know if it was it Kai who was next? I don't know if she's still.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to the topic, I've seen this too, like, young Black guys who struggle with, because they might be nerdy, or they might be educated, grew up in like a 2-parent home. They're not like certain people from like urban neighborhoods. They don't have that kind of personality. So I've seen some Black women, that are in their 20s carry them, meaning like try to embarrass them, laughing at them, calling them corny. And corny is not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, but I've seen some women weaponize that against men.
Yeah.
He's polite and trying to talk to her, and she's just laughing in his face. So I've seen that happen, and I think it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely a problem. Also, I feel like, especially in the Black community, if this is going on, and especially amongst young people, if this is what's going on, it's really not a good look, because it's basically showing that the Black women don't really want the men who are nice to them or respectable, Oops. Because how can a man who's got his pants sagging, who's disrespecting women, who has, you know, all these children out of wedlock, how is he out here, you know?
I'm hearing some feedback. Okay, I was hearing some feedback.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't know how some of the men in the community who aren't, you know, builders or providers or doing something with their lives, how they're out here finding women. So it's definitely a problem for sure.
So you're saying you're trying to figure out how are the good black men, or where are the good black men going to find good women?
No. I was saying I don't know how some of these knuckleheads in the community are finding women.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I was.
Really, they shouldn't have anybody to be with. Really, they should be ostracized from the community. So,
yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I think we're getting some feedback from you. Real quick, that's what I was alluding to before. I just muted you just for a second because I heard some things in the back. But if you want to respond after this, you can. I alluded to this before, that a lot of us are just attracted to toxicity. And I think there's different reasons for us, coming from broken homes, coming from traumatizing backgrounds. Maybe you were teased, whatever. On top of the fact that, like, so many of us women, I think we are definitely impacted by media. We won't say it, we won't admit it, but all we have to do is look at the beauty trends and look at, you know, our hair and our makeup and our clothes or whatever, and know that we are legitimately impacted by media. And so the representations of Black masculinity, Black femininity are usually quite toxic. So I think it goes down to the fact that chaos is attracted to chaos. And unfortunately, a lot of Black women are in a chaotic state. And those who are going to be attracted to men who represent that. I'm not saying that that's everybody, and I'm not saying that you have to stay there. I think people can grow and evolve and heal, and I'm all for that. But I think if there's not a willingness to do so, and if there's not honesty, then that's why a toxic guy who has 4 baby mamas and 10 kids can end up having 5 baby mamas and 12 kids. You know what I mean? Because some women are drawn to that. We see it to this day. Literally see it to this day. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that. If not, I will move on to the next one. I want to say that's Mr. Charles, I think, and then Mad Black Ronan, I think.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, to piggyback a little bit off what she was saying, you know, for the guys that I see that get a lot of women's attention, I never hear women says, "Ooh, girl, he's corny." I never heard that in my life. If it has, let me know. Now, as far as for Michael B. Jordan, I mean, like, he's pretty much the definition of a late bloomer. And in that clip where there were the 2 girls were having that audio about talking about Michael B. Jordan, they cut off the part where she had said that she kind of wished she gave Michael B. Jordan, or at least she was more supportive in that moment. Yeah. So it would have carried over to where she would have been right there on the red carpet with him. They cut that part out to save face.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Was that on the
Yeah. If you probably if you find that clip, you probably got to look through a few of those extended versions of that audio, and you probably might find it. But they I think, like, the Shade Room, you know, they always try to make, you know, the ratchet women look good and stuff like that. So but one thing I always never understood is that how come a lot of white women happen to be able to invest into a lot of these guys who end up being potentially big early, and a lot of the Black women happen to want to wait at the finish line and run through the finish line tape with the star athlete. Because you can go down the line. Jonathan Majors, he's with a white woman. Michael B. Jordan,
well said, brother.
Michael B. Jordan, he normally dates white women, but they shamed him into dating Lori Harvey. And then when Lori Harvey left him, they shamed him even more for saying, "Oh, just get over it." So he's like, you know, you just tossing me around. Kyrie Irving, Omari Hardwick, the guy whoever plays Luke Cage, Shannon Sharp, etc., etc. There's a pattern here. It's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. Like I said, I don't know what white women do to be able to scout these guys, to be able to see the potential in them early.
And for some reason, why a lot of black women, not all, but a majority, happen to consistently pick the lower tier, Pookie Ray Ray, baby mama maker type of guys early, and then try to double back and find the Russell Wilsons of the world. This, but like I said, and tying all this back into Passport Bros, they were trying to use a lot of us Passport Bros as a safety net. Now that we're removing the safety net, this is why a lot of the shame and the ridicule online is always happening. They say the same talking points. Oh, you're gonna bring a woman over, she's gonna use it for a green card, blah 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 blah. But they never ask, just like how you said, they never ask why are they going over there. Pretty much like on your channel, Michelle, there's a reason why a lot of the black men are here. On a lot of those other echo chamber channels, majority of the women are there, but the black men are here. The reason why the Passport Bros was even created is because it's just a revolt. We're just like, we kind of see what happened to a lot of guys that kind of try to wait their chance, and it's like, why would I go and make myself a better man just to come and get almost like the last piece of the pie, a last slice of the pizza, like right before closing, and it's been there since they opened it. Like no man wants that has dignity for himself. So, you know, pretty much to wrap it all up, Michael B. Jordan, I mean, I wish he would have kind of went more harder at them, but I know he kind of got to tread lightly because, you know, the cancel culture, you know, and even even that woman, the Dominica, she's not getting canceled for her rant of saying that all that stuff about Michael B. Jordan liking white women, because that's cancelable. I mean, because, you know, she's going so hard at white women, but, you know, that's pretty much what I would say.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you weighing in. I'm gonna let Mad Block Ronan weigh in, and then it's always Remain's fault. And then, guys, I am gonna have to wrap this up because I am technically late to my live, but she's being gracious. I wasn't expecting to have so much input. I might have to do like a part 2 or another call in so we can hang out a little bit longer. But I do appreciate you guys calling in, sharing a perspective. And now I think it's Mad Black. Was it Ronan?
Hey, how you doing?
Real quick, Shay, one thing he missed was that black women have asked, but they are not comfortable with the answer that they get. They ask the same loaded question time and again, and black men respond the same way, hoping that for different results, and they get the same answer and get their feelings hurt. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, no, thank you for weighing in. And okay, so I'm going to bring you guys, Mr. Charles and Coach G, I'm going to bring you guys to the back because I do have to wrap this up pretty soon. Like I said, I'll probably do another live, do another call in, and we can continue the conversation around here or another related topic. Thank you. Hey. Okay, so Mad Black Ronan, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm from the Dennis Sperling sector of the Black Manosphere, or formerly the Black Manosphere on our end. I want to talk about my experience as being a Haitian American,
okay,
and witnessing these situations, and me being also a part of it. You know, having an accent growing up, having a slight accent, speaking another language, but then having a really big affinity in my early years for those black women, having, like, you know, because of Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson, and, you know, these were the girls that I wanted to, like, I gravitated to. And from that came nuclear rejection, like not regular rejection, like, no, I'm not interested, but just insults, not once or twice, but series throughout an amount of time. And then I won't lie, it did really, like, kind of just make me harden towards them, because it also, the things I also saw from my ADOS friends that were dealing with stuff like, but, you know, who were nerdy, and some of my friends who were maybe biracial, the girls who were biracial caught it as well. And then when I realized, it took me a while till I got older, but it's like cause and effect. It's the insecurities of these type of black, these segment of black women that have these insecurities, you know what I mean? That hate on anything that they feel is better than them. Maybe they can speak another language. Maybe she may do it because she's dark skinned. She has natural long flowing hair. Things, little things that technically really doesn't matter, but for them it does matter, and there's a cause and effect, and it leads to this revolt and this disgust from them. And why I say some of these girls I'm realizing how dangerous they are. They paint a target on the nerdy black guy. They paint a target on them as weak or as not or as not being necessary to the community by doing that when they do nuclear rejection, because they usually are trying to get with a thug, and now the thug wants to, because he sees this girl is being domineering towards this guy. He wants to get on it too. And so now is like a cause and effect type of thing. Now you got the thuggo jumping on this guy as well. And I've witnessed this. I felt this. I've had to literally fight for my life. And then I look back at that, I see how it got started. And these things got started. And it's not only me. And I'm sure this guy's in the chat room right now can say that, did this guy bully me because he felt like bullying me on his own, or did he bully me because this girl that I tried to holler at painted a target on my back by doing nuclear rejection, which signaled to everybody that I was a target. I was quote unquote weak.
Yeah.
So a lot of times now, a lot of the passport bros who I saw this coming like when I was 25 years old. I'm 40 now, but I saw 25. I started to see some guys creep out the United States, and I'm not surprised because I'm going to be a passport bro in a couple months myself. I'm not surprised this is happening. Because black men have a history outside the United States of being seen as just good men. From the Philippines to Vietnam, there are black men who are seen as good. There's actual statues of black men in the Philippines and in China. It's actual statues. So to me, I always tell a lot of the guys who are passport bros or thinking about it, claim your heritage. It's not new for black men. I mean, half of Panama is built off the backs of black American soldiers. Claim your heritage. You have a right to travel. You're free men. If you're not getting the results you want here in the United States, after your ancestors built this country, and your very own can't respect respect your own heritage by respecting you, then claim another heritage. Those black men are all over, have footprints all over the place, from Britain to France to Japan to the Philippines. And I gotta say, as a Afro-Caribbean, I appreciate the layout. The layout for me. I get literally, I have family members who get swarmed by beautiful women in other places because they say they're Black American, which they really technically are by citizens. They're Black American, but it's, when we look at it, it's really the layout been laid out by Black American male culture, R&B music, rap, sports, clothing, attire. That's all I want to say. Like, claim your heritage, guys. Become a passport bro. Stop playing around.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in and sharing. I see a few in the comments saying I should do a part 2. I might have to. I had a few people who had to turn away because my call line was full. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. But thank you for calling in. Okay, it's Jermaine's fault. You are the final one. Then I'm wrapping this up, and then, like I said, we'll have another live or another part where we can chat again.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. I was definitely like a ugly duckling in high school. Growing up most of my life, I was a chubby kid, and then out of nowhere, I don't know what happened. I did work out. Maybe that's what happened, but all of a sudden, you know, women started to find me very attractive. But I kept, pretty good personality. I will say this: I think part of the problem is Black America is has a consensus or a perception to be monolithic. So some of these men turn to white women because they don't feel like, let's say Michael B. Jordan was a nerd, which I'm not sure if he was, but
Wow.
let's say you even watch on TV like a nerd convention, comic convention, video game convention, and you want to go there and be amongst people that are like you're going to see a bunch of white women. You're not going to see a lot of black women in that
Yeah.
situation. Right? So, they're not really in your mind a part of the culture that you love. Um, and then when you do have like comic conventions with black women, for some reason, black women still have that video vixen mentality. So they would dress up as a character, but it would be like overly sexual. And in
Interesting.
our community, in the nerd community, when women do that, they're considered frauds. Like you just coming to a community that can get you easy attention. So, I don't know if you're familiar with like video game like communities. Like there are women who join it, but they're like these extra video vixen, like Twitter, Instagram model looking girls. And they try to pretend to be nerdy. They pretend like they know about video games, but it's just that they get money off of it or they get a lot of attention off of it. And I do also want to say this. Um, I don't think white women are the answer. As much as black women may reject black men in whatever setting you may feel like we're getting rejected heavily, especially like more nerdy black women or what black men or whatever. White women reject us 10 times more, right? You went through the statistics, so and everything like that about white women prefer their men, right? Most women prefer
Statistically.
white men, right? And I've been on websites, I've seen it. White women prefer white men. So I don't think that's the answer. If it's a passport bro things, and I personally believe in sticking within black culture. And you're gonna go overseas, I get that. But one thing I want to say about Michael B. Jordan as opposed to Childish Gambino, I don't know if Michael B. Jordan was a nerd because I came up as a nerd and I still like nerdy women. I still like intellectual women. If he's dating those women or dating damn near Instagram models. You know what I mean? Maybe that's his redemption, or whatever it may be. I don't know. But he doesn't seem like he's still in tune with that culture. So yeah, basically like if black women are into that nerdy stuff or whatever, you need to show it. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, like, if you're interested in those men and you're interested in that culture, you need to show it. And not saying dress like white women, but white women are not going in there looking like Beyonce with a magic wand. You know what I mean? Like it's just if you dress like a character or a nerd, they just look like that. You know what I mean? It's not it's not you're not shooting a Nelly video. So that's all I want to say. Like I don't think white women are the answer. Like at least Childish Gambino, his wife looks pretty nerdy. Michael B. Jordan is just going all out. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Like if you're gonna be a passive role, if you're gonna date women and you were a former nerd, especially if those are the type of women you're looking for, women who love that culture too, date those women. Try to find a black woman that does that. There was like a convention over here in Atlanta a little while. I mean, maybe 2 days ago. I missed it, but I wanted to go for that reason, just to see if are there black women here in this convention, especially in Atlanta. But I missed it. Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Sorry, I muted myself. Thank you for calling in. It's always Jermaine's fault. It's always good to chat, and I'm sure we'll chat again.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You take care. All right, guys, this was fun. I would love to stay on longer, but as I mentioned, I'm already late to another live that I'm supposed to be headed to. Once I get the link, I will post it in my community tab if any of you guys want to join. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. I feel like I'm going to have to do a part 2 because I know many of you guys wanted to call in and chat and go back and forth and talk longer, and I wanted to do it too, and I just didn't have enough time. But definitely seems like it be an interesting topic, so we can continue this later. Like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. And yeah, I think we'll talk later. And yeah, okay, guys, bye. Peace.